All right, everybody, let me know if you guys can actually hear me. And as soon as someone says they can actually hear me, we can get this thing started. In the meantime, I'm just scrolling through here and checking. Let's see here. It says I'm live 039. All right. All right. Excellent. Great, guys. Okay. Yeah, it was keeping me from viewing the chat. Awesome, it works now. Sweet, guys. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate your patience. I know it's really messy, but YouTube really basically. So what happened on this one is in the channel content there was a link that said view live control panel, your control room, live control room, and that's what the other one was missing. And seeing as the other one was scheduled for 3 hours after I created it, you think there would have been a link there for it, but no. Instead, they led me on for 20 minutes trying to figure out how the heck to get this started. So yeah, I'm kind of mad. There's more comments below buttons, kind of pissing me off a little bit because I keep hitting it to refresh data. But yeah, my screen reader is out. Well, guys, I'm here to do one of my classic Q&As to answer your lucid dreaming questions, and to do so on my YouTube channel for a change. And for anyone who is listening and doesn't know me, I do apologize for the sort of intro buzzing and all that stuff. Trying to get this live stream set up as only the second one I've done on this channel, and the first one that actually has people watching. So yeah, classic. Definitely not changing slow mode. This chat is actually only meant for lucid dreaming questions. Now that this is started, I don't want spam. I have it set on 60 seconds on purpose because I do not want spam in the chat. This Discord chat is accessible barely. The YouTube live chat is barely definable as remotely close to being accessible. As in, I can use it, but it's a pain in the rear to use. So that's one of the reasons slow mode is where it is, and it's not going to change because the chat really is sort of meant for the question. That's sort of what this is for. Anyway. All right, Tuna. I love how you being kind of mad is exceptionally positive for me. No, I'm royally pissed at YouTube. Okay, I'm not mad at you guys. I'm mad at YouTube because they're ruining this experience and not being transparent. I tried Googling a couple things. There's nothing transparent about what was actually going on here. So yeah, I do apologize about the quick switcheroo. I think I might have lost a couple people because they may not have been on the Discord. They just might have noticed what was going on. So we'll see. Morpheus, first question. For someone who practices mild and wake back to bed, recalls 4+ dreams a night. Nice recall, bro. 7 max, but little lucid dreaming success. What advice would I give to them? Oh well, first, I would want to understand sort of their practice a little bit. The general thing I would do when I have someone like that is I want to examine what the practice is. All right, how are you actually doing this? And you do wake back to beds at night. You're recalling 4 to 7 dreams every night. That's a lot of dreams. That's good recall, actually. That's good recall. So first I would, be curious as to actually what you were doing practice-wise. How long had you been practicing? 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. If it's been more than a month, then I'd probably be, worried about like, are you actually practicing correctly or is something else going on? But for a shorter term practice, it can take time for some of these things. The fact that you have good recall is a great thing. I'd definitely be interested to know like what you do for practice, but I would recommend someone, for example, for malpractice, your dream recall is really good for that. Going through, you have your intention, of course, to remember to recognize that you are dreaming, and then you associate that intention to your dreams themselves, so that when you're dreaming, you hopefully remember that you want to be lucid in your dreams, and then you get lucid, you recognize that you're in a dream. And the way this is usually done is by imagining a dream that you've had before and keeping your intention on your mind as you go through that dream. And then imagine being lucid in it as if you knew it was a dream and sort of how you would go about doing things in it had it been a lucid dream. And then, repeating the process. I usually recommend about 15 to 20 minutes before bed and 5 to 10 minutes during wakings, usually. We hit this more comments button. All right. Classic. What's the best item to eat or drink before going to sleep? Eat nothing, drink water. Every time you attempt WoW, you fall asleep. You don't know why. Why is this? Well, with WoW, you are supposed to fall asleep. I mean, that is part of the technique. But I assume you mean falling asleep without awareness. Now, there are two ways this can happen. One, you're not paying enough attention to your anchor as you're falling asleep with it. That means you fall asleep and you aren't actually aware as you fall asleep. Two, you're paying too much attention, then you forget about it, and then you fall asleep. And I've observed people where both of these have happened. So those are the two things that happen there. All right, Spunk. Two-part question. Do I think that astral projection is real? And what method of lucid dreaming is the easiest? Streamline streams lit, man. Thank you. Well, Spunk, I will say that I personally do not believe astral projection is real. I think that if it was real in the sense that people make it out, it's that it would be scientifically provable. I am not in no means trying to deny someone like whatever experience they had. I just think it's not the type of experience they claim they had. I, you know, I usually consider experience like that to be just another type of a dream experience because dreams aren't limited in what type of experience they have, and anyone who tries to limit what can and cannot be experienced in a dream doesn't know what dreams are. And as to your second question, there really is no easiest method. It's actually a really common question. What's the easiest method? Well, there really isn't an easiest method for everyone because we are all different. That's the thing about humans. We are different. So any questions about like what is the best or easiest method? It depends on what you're going for, honestly. There can be something like easiest to do, and even that can be different, or easiest to get results with. But again, that is subjective, and that's dependent on who you talk to at any given time, because we as human beings are different genetically, physically, mentally, psychologically, just different people. So that is something to keep in mind. MRP, I'm doing just fine, thank you. My wifey, do I think doing mild at the start of the night and not doing back to beds is a waste? Um, I think, yeah, you're definitely not. I wouldn't say it's a complete waste. I mean, you have a shot. I'm more of the opportunistic one. Like I think it's a waste if you do wake back to beds, do milds and all that, but you do nothing at the beginning of the night. I think that's kind of waste because you're missing an opportunity. But yeah, if you're not doing wake back to beds, you have a legitimate capability to do so. I would say yeah, it's something I would strongly recommend you do. And when done properly, they won't really have hurt or affect your sleep very much. So yeah, I would say it's a waste in the sense as you're not truly exercising your fullest potential. Lucidesk, it's not bad to look in mirrors in lucid dreams. That is a made up schema that people have had and passed on to other people's. And just to give you an idea of how a schema like this are really bad to be spreading around on the internet, it's basically, have you ever heard the term self-fulfilling prophecy? So a self-fulfilling prophecy in this case, someone tells you, if you look in a mirror, something bad's going to happen. Person B believes that they look in a mirror in a dream, something bad's going to happen. They dream, they look in a mirror, something bad happens. That's a self-fulfilling prophecy. The reason for that is because that everything in dreams, not just mirrors, everything in dreams behaves on really these basic principles: schema, expectations, and emotions. And your emotions sort of guide the theme or mood of a dream is sort of influenced by your emotions. and your expectations are sort of a form of schema. They're deep and instinctive level associations, and then just schema or any associations at all. If you associate mirrors with being scary, and then you look in a mirror, that association is going to trigger something to happen. That is pure association based, which is why telling people that is bad because it's a self fulfilling prophecy. More comments below button. Yes, Jonah, this will be on my YouTube page. It will not be deleted like the first one that didn't actually do anything. I'm sorry for that, man. But thank you for joining us for this time. This will be on my YouTube page. That's why I'm doing this here and not on the server. I'm allowing people from 2 different servers to participate and trying to spread this to as many people as possible. But yes, it will be there. Awesome. Random person, I hardly ever do reality checks. In fact, the funny thing is I've only done them recently, like within the past couple of days, just because I have gotten a couple of wilds and I haven't wilded in my bedroom in so long. It's brought back some of the old anxiety I used to have. Sensei, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about if you're still here or if you made it over. But yeah, it was just I don't really do them much. When I did do them, the one that always worked the most, and I never really reason I never needed anything else in a dream was the nose plug one. But you don't get lucid from them. You're usually already lucid or already suspecting that you're dreaming before doing them in the first place. And I've only ever done them when I'm in an extremely familiar environment and it feels really normal, or I haven't really noticed a different feeling yet. That's when I would do them. Yay! Hey, Sensei, good. How you doing? Yeah, I usually say 15 to 20 minutes at the beginning of the night, and then like during a wake back to bed, I would say probably 5 to 10 minutes. But like, that's also on the assumption that you're doing it multiple times a night. You did it at the beginning of the night, and in the middle of the night, it's more of a refresher. Someone who's blind, what kind of things do I dream about? All sorts. Let's see. I was in the Capitol complex a few days ago. Tried to visit Star Horizons via teleportation yesterday. Today, I tried a similar thing. I tried to fly. I was jumping in the air. Anxiety was causing me a little bit of issue. I managed to do some rolling, but wasn't able to control my pitch angle, and felt like I wasn't able to really move myself really well. It was really weird. It was cool. What is my short breakdown for building strong and proper schemas? Well, for me, if I'm trying to change one that's been pretty bad for me, then it's been months of consistent practice has been the answer there. I don't do anything the short way. Not all of it anyway. I do some things, but not anyway. But I usually like to just like if I want to create a new scheme or something, I imagine doing it. Usually, if it's for dreams, I usually imagine it during malpractice. Ample opportunity to imagine using a specific schema in multiple situations, and that's sort of how I go about it. The Sonic Kid, welcome to the stream. My pleasure. I guess, but I don't drink anything but water classics, so I can't really help you there. Hey, Philip, welcome to the live stream. Is there any way to ease pain that came from a dream after waking up? Sometimes when I wake up after feeling bad pain in a dream, and it lasts for up to half an hour. Dang. Dude, I've never really had pain from a dream like that. Like I hardly ever feel pain in dreams. I Yeah, this is actually kind of gross, but in one of my dreams I was even eating part of myself and I didn't really feel any pain. I don't usually choose to, but man, dude, oh dear. I would guess, because your body, like if you had your physical body in there, you thought that you were actually in that pain. Try to understand that that was, of course, a dream that caused it, and then try to one thing you can do is this something that's done with like sensory inputs. Like this is what SSLD actually does, and you could try this. Think about the pain that you're feeling, like be aware of it intensely, and then shift your awareness intensely to something else and leave it behind. And of course, it came from a dream as well. So that's something you could possibly try. Wibbly Wibblings, welcome to the stream. What can I do to improve my recall? Well, glad you asked. Recall is one of the important fundamentals for lucid dreaming. And I have a video actually that I put out on recall, and I recommend doing 3 things in that video. Intention setting, which is deciding to remember your dreams, and make treating that decision as something important, that it's something that you want to do. You want to remember your dreams when you wake up. So that's intention setting. Wake back to bed is a good thing to do combined with the next thing I want to tell you, and that's dream delving. And that's where you imagine, you wake up, you try to think about what you were just last doing, thinking, experiencing, feeling, etc. I just had an experience like that today where I woke up from a dream today because I got a phone call, and it woke me directly from a dream, and I made sure to go back and think back through it as I answered the phone to, just grab what I could. My recall is really good, so I only needed a few seconds of that to really just get the hang of the finer points of what I was thinking about. But yes, dream delving, you go back through your dreams. You try to go imagine your senses, like all of them, what you were seeing, feeling, smelling, thinking, all hearing, all of that. And then, if you get just random thoughts or random ideas or imagery, you try to think about why you were thinking about those specific things. And then from there, go into, okay, what was I if you had a scene, what if you got like an actual dream scene, you think about what you were doing before that and what you're doing before that. Because the way memory works is through association. So if you're able to start catching bits and pieces of your dream, the goal is that, the association between that memory and other memories of other parts of your dreams or other dreams that you've had will surface, and then you'll remember more. That's why if you can just hear a trigger phrase sometimes that's just associated to a dream, and they get a full recall of a dream just by hearing a couple of words. It's happened to me so many times now. It's pretty crazy, actually. All right, more comments below button again. 3, what are some ways I practice strengthening my perspective memory for lucids? I don't have to strengthen it that much these days. I've been nightly since August. I'm exceedingly confident that I'm going to be lucid every time I go to bed. And I don't really have to strengthen that, but the ways you can is you can set short-term intentions. Just to give you an idea of what it feels like in the short term to have an intention that is so important, that it's absolutely critical that you remember to do it. I'll give you an example of mine. So my grandmother's visiting the house. I was doing, work. I do government work where I'm from home, where I test websites for accessibility, and we have to clock out on, it. They want us to clock hours specifically, like not like fractions of an hour. And I use time clock software. I don't just record whatever times I was in and out like other people do. So I have to clock out from my job within a 7-minute window, and I had about 15 minutes to kill. So I went downstairs to say hello to my grandmother and talk to her for a couple minutes. Well, I knew that I had to clock out in the next 15 minutes. That was an intention. That's something I absolutely had to do. It was a decision I made. It was very critical in near future. I also did not take my phone with me and had no access to the time. So all the time that I was down there, for those few minutes I was down there, I had no access to time. I had no access to what time it was. And I knew this is something absolutely I had to do. And I just couldn't stop thinking about it. That's what a strong intention sort of feels like. It's something you absolutely have to do, that you really want to do, that is exceedingly important to you. Spunk, have I had sleep paralysis before? I can say nope. I have not. See you, Classic 345. Have a good night. Alex Harris, welcome to the live stream. Hello. Morpheus, I didn't skip your second one. I'm pretty sure I got your second one. I'm sorry. Can you guys hear me? Thanks, Sensei. Do I see something when entering your dream? No, I'm blind. In fact, in dreams, I'll see some things like occasionally because I had some sight when I was younger, but it's usually just dark on light contrast. Nothing much. Lucy Lorfison, how does lucid dreaming feel? It can feel like real life sometimes. It can feel very vivid, very personal. In fact, because your dreams can feel like that too. Just normal dreams can. I had some that were like that today, several, and but the difference when you're lucid is it's a dream. You have all of these sensory impressions. Your sight, sound, touch, everything. All your senses are active, alive, and well, and you can feel everything around you, see or hear everything around you. But yet that is just a dream, and that world is just the whole world that you're experiencing is created by you. That is truly an amazing thing. Yeah, I'm not going to answer that question, Crimson, and you know which one. The Sonic Kid for Wild What Anchors do I recommend? Well, Honestly, there are two types. I'll just go over those real quick. There are environmental anchors. Those are anchors that are external to yourself. Those are things that, exist independently of you making them exist. And it can be something like, touching your blanket. That blanket is going to be there, or holding an object or feeling something that's tactile. As long as you have that tactile sensation, that's not going away. Or the sound of like a fan running, or the feel of air blowing on you. That functions independently of you. So those are environmental anchors. Now, mental anchors are anything that you can think about that is persistent, consistent, reminds you of its presence, and takes little effort to maintain. So you think about if you ever had a song stuck in your head, had that song in my head all day, and you just couldn't get rid of it, no matter what you tried to do. And it takes no effort whatsoever to think about. That's sort of what an anchor should feel like. I don't always recommend music as an anchor like that because, if you're a perfectionist like me and it's a song you don't know too well, you'll spend more time trying to get the words and lyrics right than you will actually just be trying to passively be aware. But if it's something you know really, really well and it just plays in your head like a lot of things do for me, then you can just use it. And you can have anchors, for example, like imagining your mental anchors can be really almost limitless. You can like imagine your room, for example. I usually recommend if you're going to use imagination as an anchor, making it a place that's familiar because it's a place so you don't actually have to expend a lot of resources to construct it. It's a place that's just already there, so it's like imagine the difference between opening a JPEG file on your computer and creating one in Photoshop. I mean, it's kind of like that difference between imagining a scene that you know really, really well and then trying to imagine something from scratch. Shasiru! Oh, Shasiran. Shasiru, hello. On YouTube, it makes it seem like after you do a technique for 15 minutes, you appear in a lucid dream, do reality check, and boom. What goes on? What goes on in that time? Well, basically, it depends on what you're doing. Also, keep in mind, a lot of YouTube information about lucid dreaming is actually inaccurate. There are a lot of inaccuracies there with YouTube information and lucid dreaming. It's something that we always have to address in our communities. Also, guys, like if I haven't answered your question, I do apologize if I haven't gotten to it yet. I'm going through everyone's one at a time, and in fairness, I'm going through people's questions you asked them first. If you are worried about whether or not I will get to your question, please just look up in the comments and you can see what question I'm answering. That's also another reason for the slow mode. I really don't want things to be spammed. I apologize. All right. So what goes on in the time? Well, basically, it depends on what you're doing. If you're doing mild, you do mild, for example, as I described earlier, where you're imagining a previous stream, keeping your attention on your mind as you imagine going through it, imagine getting lucid, repeat the process for about 15 to 20 minutes before bed, or like I usually say, like 5 to 10 minutes during awaking, and then you go to sleep. You just go to sleep. And then if you enter a dream, the purpose of that is that it carries over into your dream. Your dream is associated with your intention, and then you remember it and you get lucid. Now, for a wild, you're supposed to enter a dream directly, which is what it sounds like you're doing. Basically, you passively engage with an anchor until you fall asleep. And as you fall asleep, you enter a dream directly. And then you retain your awareness as you do so. I had one this morning. It was a crazy one with a bunch of false awakenings and some anxiety, but it was a wild nonetheless. Excuse me, I had the cups. But yes. Yeah, it's just like basically you're either, setting an intention and then you're falling asleep, or you're going into a dream directly, and it's not just like 15 minutes, boom, you're in a dream. But like if you're doing mild at the beginning of the night, for example, it is probably gonna be more like 80 minutes before you actually enter a dream. Go crazy, go stupid. Okay, hello, welcome to the channel. And that was not an insult, guys. That was his actual name. Message retract. $1 million charisma. Hey, Dark Man, welcome to the live stream. Thank you so much for showing up. Fourth question from Morpheus. Would you argue that discipline is more important than motivation in terms of lucid dreaming? I argue that they're both about equal. You want to be disciplined. You want to I think they play into each other too. If you're motivated, you will be disciplined. It's not necessarily true that if you're disciplined, you'll be motivated, but if you are motivated, you'll be disciplined. I think is definitely the case. you're at least more inclined to be so. I do think they're both equally important on, keeping consistent practice because just like with a skill, like if you don't practice a skill for a while, then it can degrade. There are times with lucid dreaming though where like if you're really just not getting results after months and months, maybe you stop for just a little bit and just sort of like try to take the pressure off, and then sometimes it gets better, and you get stuff out of it. But generally, I recommend people be consistent. But yeah, motivation and discipline go together. Hello, Panzer. Yeah, you just said what I did, except in text. Thanks, Morpheus. Appreciate it. The like button thing, I mean. Checker Cube Cuber. Hey, Skyfall. No, long time no talk. Same here. I have a question. If you start getting amazing dream recall, but you get a nightmare, how do you forget it? Asking for friend. My response for your friend: don't. Your nightmares generally, your nightmares don't just come by themselves. They come from something that's usually unresolved emotionally, which means you have some sort of pent up fear or anxiety, stress, or some type of emotional response. For example, like if you have a soldier, for example, who has PTSD and is getting flashbacks of PTSD, that's caused by unresolved emotional trauma. But nightmares are like they can be caused by just fear, like if you something like scary happened to you, or like you saw like a horror movie or something, you went to bed afraid of something, just fear like that or anxiety can cause things like that. I would say try to understand, all right, well, what emotional states was I in when I experienced that? Were those experiences related to anything I'm worried about in real life? And then, better yet, take that nightmare and mild with it. Do what Dr. Lamarca has these things called the three R's. I think they're, I don't want to it's like repurpose, rescript, and I forget what the other one is. I really am butchering this. But basically, like, try to rewrite that dream as what would you have done there if you had actually been lucid instead? Because honestly, that would probably be a healthier solution than trying to go about forgetting it. Is use it as for a mild practice. Go, hey, if I had been lucid, I could have done X, Y, or Z. I could have resolved the situation in a different way. So that's also something to consider. But thanks for the comment. Crimson, how many people have I killed in my lucid dream? I honestly can't count because it's I don't kill like personally up close face to face. I gave a dream character power once to kill people, and she killed people. I didn't count them. And then I fired some missiles at people when the Romulans invaded Earth, and I was flying an F-18 because what else are you gonna do? And I'm trying to remember any other times I've actually killed people. I haven't done a lot of combat. I've been doing a lot of trying to just master basic things in dreams. Here we go. More comments. Shashiru again. Hello. Which methods are the first you tried? Also, do any of them work going to bed at the beginning of the night? Yes, and yes. The first ones I tried were based off of misinformation, so I wasn't actually trying really much effectively for almost 2 weeks. And yes, mild and for example is a good one to do at the beginning of the night. It's one I recommend. If you'd like to see my written mild guide, you can go to skyfalldreams.net, or as you can see in any of my other videos on my channel, I have the 2 Discord servers linked. If you go to the Dream Cafe Discord server to our Lucid FAQ channel, you'll see my mild guide link there as well, but it's on skyfalldreams.net. I really should have put the link in the description for this live stream, but I was a little pressed for time because this was kind of a replacement for the last one that blew up in my face, as in YouTube didn't want me to run it. Almighty Cheeto! Hey, Skyfall, I'd like to do mild, but I don't know about how well I have to remember a dream to perform mild with. You usually remember visuals from dreams, but not other senses. Talking to a blind guy about visuals. No, just kidding. Basically, usually I usually go through like the key points of a dream. But if you can't remember your other senses, try to imagine what it would have felt like. Just like if you were to say to imagine being in a location that you don't know, try to imagine what it would feel like. Imagination doesn't have to be any one sense in particular; it can be several. Which is why, ironically, as a blind person, I'm actually really good at visualizing. The visual part of visualizing isn't much, but the other senses, these sounds that I can, the sound memories, the tactile memories, those come in loud and clear, and I sort of just create the visuals as like just these like bland frameworks of which to build everything around it. The funny thing is I kind of do that in waking life when I walk around a little bit too. I kind of visualize in waking life. The funny thing about being blind is you can do that with your eyes open. It's actually really funny. Morpheus, number 5. I get lucid every time I see a specific dream sign. Friends from back home. But not other dream signs. I see any advice. Well, first off, you have a recurring dream sign. You get lucid every time from it. So I want to first take the moment to congratulate you. That type of behavior is something you want to reward. That type of behavior is something you want to encourage. You have a recurring dream sign. You're recognizing it. Well done. All right. As for any other dream signs, what I always recommend people do is criticality. You go through your dreams, pick out everything that's out of place, anything that doesn't make sense in any way, and start teaching yourself to make an immediate association between something not feeling right or being off to being in a dream. And you can do that, then you'll probably recognize things a lot more. That's usually what I recommend people do. And, enhance criticality practice. Go through your waking memories, look for anything out of place, examine whether or not you could actually be dreaming because you could be at any point in time, any situation whatsoever, any time of day, because dreams are completely limitless and really aren't bound by anything. So you could be in one at any time. So you're training yourself to recognize, hey, something out of place here. If I do something in real life that is out of place, for example, my entire trip that I was at in the nation's capital a few weeks ago, I was doing things I wouldn't normally do at home because I don't have access to do them at home, and it was very out of place for me to do things up there. I was catching Amtrak trains at 6:30 in the morning. That was pretty out of place. A bunch of other stuff. Dream Sign City was basically everything like that was out of place. So you really get into the habit of questioning, hey, could I be dreaming right now? Yes. Am I dreaming right now? Well, let me see, and go through all your memories. Look for anything out of place. Look for any gaps in time or any travel you don't remember traveling, or being somewhere you don't remember why or who with. My pleasure helping you checker cubed. Work. All right, guys. It looks like I've answered everyone's questions so far. Computer time.
It's 9:42 p.m.
Wow, guys, this has been nice. I appreciate you guys sticking around with me too, because I was trying to run this from 8:30 to 9:30, and that obviously didn't work. Didn't even get started until after 9. So I'm planning to try to run until at least 10 o'clock if you guys are game for that. And if you guys have any other questions, or if there's anything about my lucid dreaming experience you'd like to know, feel free to ask as well. Dogfish, I think this is your first question of the night. Should I do reality checks often just as a habit, or should I do them only when I see a dream sign? I would say definitely not the first one. And if you're gonna do them at all, it should be part of a broader criticality practice. So the second one, like if you see a dream sign or something, anything that's out of place, of course, we should define our terms here too. I define a dream sign as something anomalous, unusual, abnormal, or out of place in any way, shape, or form. That's anything at all. Anomalous usually refers to something that breaks physics, violates the laws of nature, that would not normally be natural. Unusual and abnormal usually would figure into things that could physically exist but don't for various reasons. Like I think someone talked about having like a hotel in a Walmart. It could physically exist. It doesn't violate the laws of physics, but it just doesn't make sense. And then out of place, I usually approach that in a couple of ways. So it's like, something, it looks normal and it looks okay, but it doesn't fit in with what you're currently doing. It can be contextual. It can be a building that exists, or it can be a vehicle that exists, but it doesn't make sense for you to be in that specific position in the context of what you would normally be doing. So contextual dream signs, that's also a thing, the context. There's a person who's saying, everything looked normal. I was, handcuffed in the back of a SWAT car. I was like, all right, is that normal for you to be handcuffed in the back of a SWAT car? I mean, the context there, pay attention to that. Start noticing those things. So, as far as reality checks go, Dogfish, going off on just a little bit of a tangent there. Doing them as a habit, doing them mindlessly, isn't going to help you at all. If you're going to do them at all, you should be critical about them. The whole point of them, I call them like the baby criticality practice. You're trying to develop a practice for criticality, and criticality is being critical of whether or not you're dreaming, examining situations, examining your memories. Like I was describing to the person earlier about, being critical throughout the day, or just being critical in general of whether or not you are dreaming, because you could be at any moment, at any situation, at any time of day, in any location whatsoever. You could be dreaming. So yes, don't ever do reality checks mindlessly because then you can do them in a dream mindlessly and completely ignore any results that you might get. So if you're going to do them at all, they should be a criticality practice. But don't rely on them either. Don't make the other mistake like in a dream of doing them so much that you are questioning your own lucidity and you're not be confident in your lucidity. If you're lucid in a dream, you should be confident in your own lucidity, knowing that the next place you're going to end up when you're not in a dream is going to be your bed. So be confident in your own lucidity. You don't need to keep questioning things. If you know you're dreaming, you know you're dreaming. Especially if you've done something that breaks the laws of physics and nature. It's you're trying to make sure that's been a problem of mine. Usually anxiety causes that kind of behavior. Usually you're anxious if you're trying, like, for example, you want to jump out of a window or jump through a roof or something really crazy like I like to do, and you're worried about what the consequences would be if you did that in real life. That's anxiety talking. That's your fear and anxiety talking right there. And if you're, ignoring the fact that you're actually lucid and you keep questioning that it's not usually a good thing. Morpheus, please hold. Uh, Sorry about that, guys. I had a phone call. Morpheus, I get back to you where your comment was. Personal questions are done. Thank you. My favorite lucid dream of all time, honestly, that's a good one. 370 has, really, I would say 370 is definitely one of my favorites of the past several months. 215 was a good one. 248 was decent. 153, the 150 series, 151, 152, 153 still stands out as some of the best I've had of all time. There are some other really good ones though that I've had, but I have to go dig around. 370 is a recent one. I can point at 370 and go, yeah, that was truly amazing. The way I woke up from it was amazing. The whole thing was amazing. My pleasure, Dogfish. Your second question. Second question. Okay. Almighty Cheeto. I heard not to think of something scary in a dream. Is this true? That's BS. Ignore it. I also heard, um, also heard some of the Discord saying, yes, there's a difference between thinking about something happening and intending it. Intending it is deciding to do it. Thinking about it is thinking about it. And if you think about something scary in a dream, and that doesn't necessarily mean that it would happen. If everything you thought about in a dream happened, I would have no dream control problems. I think about a lot of things I want to do in dreams that don't happen because anxiety has gotten in my way. Your emotions do have something to say about that. It's associating like what you are thinking about with the actual action happening that causes an action to happen. For example, if I jump in the air and associate that with flying in a specific way, I'll end up flying in a specific way. If I go through a certain protocol that I created for disassociation, reassociation, it's a transporter teleportation protocol I made for Star Trek. If I go through that protocol, then what should happen is I should teleport. It did in Lucid number three. I want to say 372. That I think it was 372 that happened, and I did teleport, but I was still anxious. So while I kind of half created the room I wanted to, then I got an expectation failure because I was expecting part of my bedroom to still be there, and that caused an expectation failure. So that's something to, anxiety can really be nasty sometimes. Shasiru, could I do a quick explanation of the steps for what I would do for mild? I feel it is easier to understand when hearing someone else explain it. Well, certainly, I can do that for you. My pleasure. So basically, you start with an intention, which I describe an intention as a present decision to perform a future action associated with a time, location, event, or other trigger. So it's if you've ever to demystify setting an intention for you, because a lot of people hear the phrase intention setting, and if you've never heard intentions before, it sounds like something unattainable, just like you think lucid dreaming might be if you're just starting. It's not. let me demystify that for you a bit. So basically, if you've ever, it's part of the human experience. If you've ever decided to do something at a later point in time, for example, say you had a friend that you wanted to see, and you really, really wanted to see him over the weekend, and you decided that you're going to go see him on the weekend, and then you went and did it. You set an intention to do something. If you decided at school what order you're going to do your homework in, and you came home and you did your homework in that order, you set an intention to do something. These are things that are pretty straightforward. Humans do them all the time. We create aids for setting intentions, calendars and reminders, things like that, to try to remind ourselves of things. Those are sort of mnemonic aids to help with intention. So the way Mild works is by associating your intention with your dreams. So your intention in this case is you want to be able to, whatever terminology you use doesn't really matter, but it's knowing that you're in a dream in your dreams is sort of what intention would be. So recognizing that you're dreaming, or realizing, or knowing, or understanding, or observing, anything like that. But I usually go with recognizing, because I like nice long 4-syllable words. And and so I usually go recognizing that I'm dreaming in my dreams, and I then keep that intention on my mind and keep just think about it for a bit, and keep referring back to it as I go throughout a dream. And this is where dream recall comes in important. So I'm moving on to what I call step 2. So step 1 is you have your intention, and step 2 is where you have your dream recall. And if you remember any dreams well, it doesn't have to be one that's really extremely recent, but it should be one that you remember decently well, enough to go through it, imagine being there, being in the dream. And then imagine going through that dream as if you were in it, and going through it and experiencing it. One of the things I usually like to tell people to do that's kind of optional is look out for anything that's unusual. Look for anything out of place. Look for dream signs. Look for anything that doesn't make sense, because that's extra criticality. You can go, hey, this doesn't make sense. This means that it's a dream. And then you imagine that you're lucid in that dream. That you got lucid. That you know it's a dream, and you're fulfilling your intention basically in your imagination. And you imagine whatever it is you'd want to do in a lucid dream. This can also be incubation for the future. You have something that you'd like to do. You have a specific goal you want to achieve. You can incubate that in your Mild practice. It's something I do regularly. And then once you've done that, you repeat the process. You do this for about 15 to 20 minutes before bed. And I usually say about 5 to 10 during awaking. I'm a light sleeper, so I generally hesitate to tell people to stay up longer than 10 to 15 minutes when they wake up during the night, just because I'm one of those people who can't fall asleep in less than 20 if I wake up during the night, and less than 40 if I go to bed, at the beginning of the night. So there we go. All right, so Sherry, if you have any other questions, if you have any questions about those steps or anything else, you can let me know. Also, if you come on the Dream Cafe or on the Lucid Discord servers, you can join us there. You can also check out my DMs. You can find me pretty easily on Discord. So Morpheus, you're talking about criticality. Yes, criticality is really important, Morpheus. You can get your criticality to work for you more, and it can take time and practice. But the more you train it, the more likely it is to work. I used to never notice things like that, and then I started noticing them, and then basically pushing it off as justifying it. Like, I noticed myself being in a city I shouldn't have been in, when because I didn't actually have any money to get there, and thinking what am I doing here? And I ended up justifying that. It's an obvious dream sign. Nowadays, if my dead grandfather walks into a room, I'll be like, there's my dead grandfather. I'm dreaming. And that's sort of what training criticality does. In a lucid dream, as somebody caught me controlling and put me in a top secret research facility. I think they might have. They haven't done that yet, but I think they might be trying to put me in Site 19, Philip. I don't know. Some old guy. Funny. I knew you were going this. Old guy, funny penis. He called us at reach killing 37%. No, I haven't done that, but I knew you were going to SCP. If you're gonna do that, you gotta mention SCP-1230, because that's basically instant lucid dreaming right there. What's the greatest thing that happens to me, or that I've done in a lucid dream? There are many. There was teleporting around town after someone stole my iPhone with a dream character who was helping me with schema issues and helped me fly and do stuff. There was the time I took my dad up the elevator to space on the spaceship and was talking about him to this character, and then he got pissed off because there were bats in there and they were sentient aliens and he didn't know. And then there was one, it was 370 where I was, well, it wasn't really weird. That was cool. Let's see, crazy, crazy. Oh, the Antarctica one was kind of crazy. I had built this myself, this special spacesuit, and I was able to seal it and make gloves that gave me tactile sensation. I was driving this vehicle that was a cross between a snowmobile and a Star Wars speeder bike, zipping at several hundred miles an hour across the ground. Then there's a time in Lucid Dream 151 where I was flying through space singing "I Believe I Can Fly," and like free flying in space, no armor or anything. I could feel wind blowing on me though, which is funny. And of course, there was a dream where I was singing "Born to Fly" by Sarah Evans when I was flying off the driveway. And there was somewhere I literally had someone shove me out a window to try to fly once. I had some interesting experience. A lot of my early lucids are really short though. Do I have any persistent realms? I have one. It's not like 100% complete, but it's pretty persistent because I keep making it that way. But it's called Zordonia, and it centers around the Titan class supercarrier ZSS Star Horizons, which is a 50-mile by 5-mile carrier with 500 decks. And I have a whole bunch of details about it that I won't go into because I'll just bore people to death with the incessant obsession that I have with numbers. So let's not go into that. But yes, it's basically this intergalactic organization with these ships that are completely badass that are designed to go into a galaxy where two galactic level or intergalactic level powers are fighting each other. Basically, races who could, likely destroy an entire galaxy while they're at war with each other, and then basically get them all to bow to your wishes and stop fighting each other. My pleasure, Cicero. Thank you for watching my live stream, commenting. I hope you sub while you're here. And feel free to check us out on Discord. We will happily answer more of your questions. If you come to the Lucid Dreaming channel on Dream Cafe or Dream Discussion channel on OmniLucid, we'll happily answer questions for you. Excuse me. Praven RL. RL. When I get lucid, my vision starts to get distorted and dark. And eventually I wake up. What can I do? Well, first off, I'd be interested to know like the situation. There's always like a how and a why. So there are a few things that can cause you to wake up. First off is your sleep cycle is just naturally ending. That's more common amongst beginners. You're starting to wake up, you get lucid at the very end of a dream, the dream's ending, there's really not much you can do about it. Another possibility is that you just weren't paying attention to what was going on around you. That's something that beginners can do sometimes. If you get lucid, you start thinking about all the things you want to do and not actually what you're doing. There's a common myth that being excited wakes you up. That's actually not true. And it's more like not paying attention to what you're doing, not actually being excited. No, emotions themselves aren't going to wake you up. And then there's expecting to wake up. If you're expecting that something is going to wake you up, or that not doing something is going to wake you up, that will wake you up as well. Expectation is a form of schema. That's association. That's one of the things that dreams and dream control work off of. And I guess the final thing is, what about your other senses? You talked about visuals, but what are you doing with your other senses? I'm blind, so my visuals going away doesn't exactly mean much of anything. Just saying, but do you use your other senses in your dreams as well? SKC, is there a way to make, welcome to the channel, by the way, SKC. Is there a way to make lucid dreams more vivid using dream control, and how? Yes, there is. Basically, it's dream control is schema based. It's based off of association and expectation. So, for example, imagine you having a graphics menu or a slider and turning it up or putting glasses on and seeing more clearly. But whatever you can do to make the association between sharper and more vivid sensations and senses of all sorts, then whatever association works for you, use it, weaponize it. Whether it's a TV remote, whether it's changing graphics menus, whether it's putting on glasses, it's anything you want. But it all works on association. If you associate what you are doing to the result that you want to get, you're most likely to get it. Pradden Ariel, you don't remember using any other sense, well, then you are missing a whole world of sensory experience. If all you're getting in your dreams are visuals, then you're missing out, man. You're missing out on a lot. You should be able to engage all 5 of your senses in any dream situation, just about. Tactiles, being able to feel, auditory, being able to tell, olfactory, being able to smell, gustatory, being able to taste, visual, obviously the one I don't have, but you should be able to engage all of them in your dreams. And the more the merrier, honestly. You have a multitude of sensory experiences awaiting you. And you should be I recommend you aim to take full advantage of that, man. My biggest goal for lucid dreaming 2022 has got to be being Omni. Getting Omni is my biggest goal for lucid dreaming, period. And I would love to get that done by the end of 2022. Almighty Cheeto. Can you really ask your dream to surprise you or talk to your subconscious? Well, you can think that you have. Um, Now, whether or not it actually surprises you, I guess it can. Like, it still would be something that's based on your expectation or memory, but it may not be something that's active specifically. As far as like talking to your subconscious, you can totally think you have, but your subconscious, keep in mind, is not a sentient entity. It's literally just your memories and your associations and the sum of those. So it's literally talking to yourself, but yourself as a dream character or some other thing. But the experience is still going to be how you expect. So if you ask questions or ask things like that, the answers are going to be like what you expect them to be. That's the foundation of dream control. So you can do those things, but that doesn't mean you're going to get anything significant out of them. Maybe you do something significant to you. Maybe you don't. Maybe you get nonsense. Maybe you get something weird or something funny. It can be whatever you expect generally. Dogfish, that's bull crap, as far as I'm aware. My eyes don't even work in dreams or waking. Well, they work a little better in dreams, but still. Opening your eyes in a dream. Technically, in a dream, your eyes should already kind of be open. So, eh. Wow, have I actually reached the end of the comments that are open so far? Awesome, guys. Awesome. How many viewers do we have? Let me check. 14. I don't know what the 7 and 14 mean, but I definitely think we've had a good bit of viewers today, which is awesome. This has been fun, guys. Right below this stream, you got recommended Lucid doing subliminals. It made you think of the sad state of this community. Well, on YouTube in particular, there's a lot of misinformation, and there are a few people who are trying their best to put decent content out. You know, I don't just toot my own horn. I mean, I have my own videos to do that. And this is my live stream, but people like Lucid Dream for Egypt, that's a good one. Sensei, DJ, we're all putting out our own content. Philip, you yourself, you're putting out decent stuff. We're all putting out content. DJ Dreams, by the way, he does editing for me. He's truly amazing. I want to give him a shout out for all the work he's done on my other videos so far. So I definitely want to give credit where credit is due because it's deserved, and I really appreciate it. So shout out if he ever hears this at the very end. He'll have to listen for over 52 minutes to get there. So I don't know, but yeah, most YouTube channels that for lucid dreaming don't really put out much like that's pretty decent. That's one of the things the Omni Lucid community is trying to do that I'm a part of is put out more YouTube content. So you got my channel, you got Sensei, you got I don't think Mizik's put out anything yet, or DJ he's put out some stuff. There's one other guy who does audio tracks, but we all are in our own separate fields. Sensei, for example, he's mostly doing shorts, and he's putting out decent content in the form of short, really like short little blurbs and bits and pieces here, and he's gonna have like more occasional longer videos. So that's sort of like his thing. My thing is more like the entry level info, tutorials, Q and A's. He's gonna do Q and A's as well on his channel. I just think he's gonna do them a little differently than mine. He's going to do them specifically on like Discord, I think. Although if he likes the way this went, not the first time, but the second time, maybe he'll do one like this. Who knows? One like this would work, and it could include everybody if we put it out everywhere. But I would like to thank all you guys. Let's see if we got any more questions. 15 at some point. Thanks, Morpheus. Should you listen to Dino do a reality check? Don't do it mindlessly. If you do one, don't do it mindlessly. You actually want to pay attention to what it is you're actually doing. Be critical. Go through your memories. Think about what you've been doing today. Anything out of place. Anything that doesn't make sense in any way whatsoever. And if you're going to do reality checks at all, do at least three different types, and actually think about them when you're doing them. Be critical about it. Panzer, honestly, I'm glad to see you here, bro. But yeah, it's a shame you got banned from there because things are actually again we have mostly beginners over there, and we're a very beginner heavy community, but we definitely are getting things done as well. So we get it done our own way. I hope you do, Sensei. Make some of those longer videos. I'm looking forward to them. Um, the shorts, I hardly ever actually play them on YouTube specifically. I just hit the play button in the content channel, and 20 seconds later, go do something else. Because, well, yeah, not a big shorts guy myself. But yeah, thanks for coming, Sensei. Thanks for coming and listen to this. I don't know if you plan to do a stream like this anytime soon, but as you can see with the YouTube chat, you can do like a slow mode. You can moderate it. You could add moderators to it if you wanted to. In fact, I might need to get channels for a couple of you guys who I like and actually add you guys as moderators on mine because that's something I should do. And especially if we get big at any point, if any of us start actually getting big, like if that happens, that would be awesome. Looks like I have reached the end of the comments. It's just after 10 o'clock. Do you have any more questions? I think at most I'll go for another 10 minutes, but if there aren't any more questions, I'll wrap up shortly. Any questions about what you can do to Lucid Dream or how you can improve or what I've done or about my specific practice, maybe about how I've learned or anything that's happened to me? If any of you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know. Otherwise, I'll be wrapping up very shortly. It has been a very fun night. I do want to again apologize for those of you who have stuck through to the end. Thank you so much. And for those of you who were there at the beginning when this was a royal crap show, I do thank you for coming over and being understanding because YouTube is really not giving me any options here, and I do apologize for that. There really wasn't anything I could do there. So thank you guys for sticking around and for being awesome. I really do appreciate that. But yeah, it looks like we're about done. So it will be done soon. Awesome, Dogfish. I hope it did. And if you ever want a review on that, I actually talk about dream delving in my recall fundamentals of dream recall video as well. That's only my second video to come out. Panzer. Panzer, I deal with enough trolls in the Dream Cafe. I don't need you trolling me, bro. Oh. And I do have to admit, though, with all the trolling that I have seen on Dream Cafe and stuff, all you guys here tonight, I must say, have been really respectful, really appreciative, and really understanding of going through a chat and what it's like to have to try to get through messages. So I really appreciate that from you guys. Not really much spam and trolling or anything like that. And so I'm very appreciative of the way you guys treated this chat with some respect. And I'm definitely, I don't see that all the time. So I'm very appreciative of that. And I want to thank all of you guys for being an excellent audience. I couldn't have asked for better on my first stream, especially with all this crap that was going on. Thanks, Morpheus. I appreciate it. You're awesome. I think this about wraps it up, guys. So I want to just say before I go off here, I think it's the last comment I'm going to read. I want to thank all of you for showing up tonight. This has truly been awesome. Again, for those of you who are watching this and who were not part of the original stream, you have incredible patience. It's been over an hour. Congratulations. You get a gold star. And if you would like to check us out on any of the Discords that I'm on, they are discord.gg/dreamcafe and discord.gg/omnilucid. You can Google both of us. You can search us both up on Discord. We are there. We're findable. I will be editing this video at some point to put the links in the description as well. So it will all end up there. Thank you so much for watching. And I think that's how we're going to end it. And thanks, Dogfish. This was an awesome live stream. And this has been Skyfall Blind Dreamer. And I would like to wish everyone a good night. Soon as I can find the end stream button. There it is. Good night, everybody.